All right, welcome back, everybody. We are going to start in on this turtle. And the reason that I would like to do this particular simple illustration is that I want you to see how you would create an illustration when you're dealing with layers. And the easiest way, I'm just going to shut this gradient box here. The easiest way that I can really describe it is that when you're working in Illustrator, it's not that you're making... You're drawing in a way that make shapes overlap with one another. So you have to kind of think about what's really going to be visible when all is said and done with your illustration. So for example, with this turtle, we see that there's a turtle body and it goes underneath the shell and we don't really see what's here. So if you kind of think of it of cutting out shapes from construction paper and layering them on top of each other, to make the the illustration that you're trying to make. So and then in this one we're also going to use a combination of shapes, the shape creation tool or the geometry tool, and also drawing freehand with the pen tool as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the turtle's body. The turtle's body is going to be the base layer of this illustration. So you're going to come over here to your shape tool. You're going to select the ellipse tool. And I want my circle to grow outward from the center so that I can kind of get a good idea of the size of the head here. I think this might be around the center of the circle that I'm going for. So I'm going to hold down my Option and Shift key, and I'm going to go ahead and draw a circle out that I think is about the size that I need for the turtle's head. Right about there. I do want this to be like a red stroke so that I can see it a little easier. In fact, I'm going to select this and delete it, and I'm going to go over to my layers panel and just start a new layer so that the turtle is on its own layer. All right, so let's try this again. Got my ellipse tool here. I want to not have any fill, and I want the gradient to be just red. Or I'm sorry, the stroke to be just red. Okay, so let's try this again. I've got Shift and Option held down, and we're gonna go ahead and make that shape one more time. There we go. This is about what I'm looking for the turtle's head. Now, I do want it to be a little bit more of an oval this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squish it in a little bit, and I'm going to come over here and rotate it a little bit. And then I can probably just pull it up a bit here. Grab my selection tool and move it into place a little bit better. There we go. And I'm going to grab the ellipse tool again, and I'm going to kind of make a circle here where the nose is going to go. So looks like maybe this would be a good center area to start with. There we go. I want to make this also a bit more of an oval shape, like so. There we go. Perfect. Now I've got two circular shapes to help me get going with this particular turtle shape. Now I'm going to come in and make another shape here for the part where the forehead kind of transitions into his nose. So I'm going to grab the pen tool, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start something like from here and create a line that's going to blend in somewhat okay with this oval here. So go ahead and do the bevel, and it doesn't really matter what shape the rest of it is. I'll show you why, because we're going to use the compound path tool the Pathfinder tool to bring all these together. So if you come on over to your Pathfinder and you marquee select all three of these shapes, we're going to just combine them all, and you're going to see that you've got a nice shape here beginning for the head. Okay. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, so don't spend forever doing this. It's just, this is just a way for you to kind of get how you can use the pen tool in combination with the shape tools. All right, so now we're going to create the body. You do not necessarily want to start drawing off of this path right here, because what we're going to do in the end is create two closed paths, and then we're going to use the Pathfinder to bring them together. If you have one open path and one closed path, the Pathfinder doesn't work because the Pathfinder is always looking for shapes. So what I'm going to do is actually start the pen tool a little bit off of this main head shape that we started, and then I'm going to just start tracing from there because I don't want it to be part of the path of the shape of the head. All right, so what I want you to do now is I want you to go around and trace this turtle's body to the best of your ability. And I'm just going to speed up this process here of going around the turtle. Now, here on the bottom of the foot is actually a situation where the predetermined curve is actually helping me. You see how it's sitting along with the foot there? And it actually isn't too bad. Oh, it looks like I lost my predetermined curve, probably because that line was pretty straight. But sometimes it's helpful. It just depends on what you're doing. You can see it's kind of hard to tell when I'm hovering over, but you'll see that bevel point show up when you're hovering over the anchor point to lose that predetermined curve. And please don't worry about spending a ton of time on this unless you're really into it and you have the time. I am by no means looking for a perfect tracing of the turtle. I just want you, this is just practice with the pen tool. Okay, so now that I have a good tracing of the turtle's body, I'm going to make a nice definition for the tail here. But the rest of it doesn't matter because the shell is going to be overlapping with the rest of the turtle's body. So it can really look like whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and just kind of curve it like that to get ready for the curve of the neck. And then I'm going to curve up past my head shape there. Okay, and then I am going to connect the body shape as a closed path. All right, so we've got two shapes going on. We've got the head and then the body shape. So then what we'll do is just marquee select both of these, use the Pathfinder tool to combine them. And then after that, I can go in and clean up whatever I like, right? So I'll use my direct selection tool and come in and clean up some of these areas where I don't really like what's going on with the curve. This right here, I think I don't need both of these anchor points. It's actually too much. So what I can do is remove one. So you can do that by going to your pen tool. Remember there's that add and delete anchor point tool. I'm going to choose the delete, which is also the minus key. And I'm just going to delete that from there. And then I can pull these handles to make that head shape come back into place. Okay, so go ahead and go around and clean up whatever you like. And it looks like I actually, when I fixed that one curve, I had all the anchors selected. You see how it curved in all these areas? I actually don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go back. I need to back up and Command Z until I get, there we go. That's where I made the mistake. So it's easy to do that. So just make sure you have just the one anchor selected that you want to bring the curves out in. And it looks like it didn't pull everybody in, so that's good. This one simply just needs to be adjusted. There's too much of a kink right there, which it doesn't really matter here because it's going to be underneath the shell anyways. All right. Okay, so once you get that going, we're just going to leave that path alone. Now, one thing that can be annoying when you're trying to draw is when we do this turtle shell, you're going to be hovering over the turtle body constantly, and it's going to want to highlight it. And for me personally, that drives me crazy, especially if I'm doing really intricate drawings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the layers and I'm going to lock. I'm going to not lock the entire layer, but I'm going to lock the turtle body, which is right here. And I'm just going to name it body so I know which one it is. I can go ahead and let's make those bigger so they're a little easier to see. Okay, so now that that's locked, I'm going to go in and start doing the main shell area. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my pen tool here, and this is pretty easy. The shell generally is pretty easy, so go ahead and go in and just trace that. And you can pause the video and just take a moment and do that. All right, so now I have got the turtle shell traced. So you can see that the shell is sitting on top of the body, so that when I fill these in, we'll have whatever color I choose for the body underneath, and then the shell color on top. And so now what I want you to do is go ahead and go in and trace the details of the top of the tortoise shell. So I'm going to lock the tortoise shell shape, or the turtle shell shape, I guess it's not a tortoise, and then we'll go ahead and go in and draw the rest of these. And you see how, because they're locked, I can't select it, so it's nice. It doesn't, you can actually start drawing off of a path if it's locked without it kind of doing funny, weird things. So yeah, go ahead and pause for a moment and go in and draw these. Now, you don't want to just leave this like this, because this is still an open path, this drop down shape, and you can't fill it with anything if that's the case. So what you're going to want to do is come in and close it out and just follow along with the top of the shell like so. Okay, and so now that's closed, so you can just move on to another area and trace that out. Okay, so I like to have these shapes a little bit past the contour of the shell so that they poke out and give a little bit of, I guess, suggested volume. You'll see what I mean as soon as we go in and fill all these. So with these, this part of the shell, you can actually cheat a little bit and duplicate these. So I'm going to go in here and draw, let's say, this one. And again, I'm able to draw off of this path because it's locked. And it allows me to use the other path of the other shape as a guide, but then not interfere with that shape itself. So here I go. I've made this closed path here. It's pretty close to the contour of the shell. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my selection tool and hover over it. I'm going to hold, let's see here. There we go. I'm going to hold my Option key down and I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to bring it over, rotate it a bit here, and get this to kind of fit. And then if I take my direct selection tool, I can come in and individually click these anchors and adjust them a little bit to fit the new shape. And then I will use my regular selection tool, Option, duplicate again. That duplication tool is probably, it's by far one of the most handy things. I use it a lot in everything that I do in Illustrator. So we're gonna go ahead and that's not the handle I want. Let's click this one. And there's my handle. I'm gonna go ahead and pull that down a little bit. Now, if you're not able to get all of these exactly, I mean, it's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. I just wanted to show you that you could go ahead and duplicate those, but don't worry about, having them be on the lines perfectly or anything like that. All I'm really looking for in this tutorial is that you are successfully able to use the pen tool to create several shapes to create a very basic illustration. Okay, so the body of the turtle is all done now. Now we're going to go ahead and fill these in. So I am going to select the body, and I can't because I have it locked, so I need to unlock them. I'm going to select the body, and you can add a fancy swatch if you want. For this tutorial, I'm just going to use these basic colors that come with, every new project. And I have my stroke selected, so I'm going to come back over to my box here and toggle that so that the turtle fills. Okay. And then for the shell, go ahead and select the shell, and I'm going to pick a fun color for that. So let's say nothing too saturated, maybe like this light blue here. And I have my stroke selected again, so I'm going to toggle over here. Okay, perfect. Now in the layers, I'm going to go ahead and select all of the details of the shell. And I'm actually going to go ahead and hit Command or Control G, and I'm going to group those together because I know I want them to be a group. And then, another way that you can go to fill in stroke is here under the Properties panel, as always. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill them with like a yellow color, and then go ahead and take that stroke off, like so. All right, now we still have the turtle's face to create, and we're gonna do that with actually, there'll be one shape and then some open paths to create the mouth. So what I wanna do is go to my layers panel. Now I can't see the turtle anymore because it's underneath these shapes, but what we're gonna do is just go ahead and unlock that bottom layer. We're gonna grab the turtle trace layer file here, and we're just gonna drag it up above. And then you can see, so you can always drag these trace layers around and however you need to trace your artwork. So I'm gonna go ahead and lock that again. And then we're going to zoom in on the turtle. All right, so the eye is easy. We're just gonna use the ellipse tool here, and we're gonna create the eye. Gonna come over to Properties here and give it a black fill or whatever color you want. And let's see, this isn't responding because, let's see why. Because I had the wrong layer selected. So I created the eye in layer 1, and I didn't mean to do that. So what I can do is just take the eye and drag it up above. There we go. And let's just go ahead and lock. I'm gonna lock that bottom layer so that I don't create anything else on there. Okay, I'm gonna grab the pen tool, and we're gonna make the shape of the tongue. And this time we're gonna use the stroke to help us illustrate the tongue. So let's just make a closed path like so. And I'm going to edit this anchor point a bit here because it's looking a little bit funny. Okay, we'll go to the properties panel. I'm going to choose I guess this bright purple color. And then we are going to have a stroke on it. The stroke's going to be black. I'm going to bring up the stroke a bit like that so it looks more like the tongue. Perfect. Okay, let's go back over to the pen tool, and now we're going to use a closed path to create the mouth. So I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit. I'm going to kind of start back here, and I'm going to make this curve first. Now I have a fill selected. You can see what the fill looks like when it's an open path and it's not a closed shape. It will fill it, but it just looks horrible. Okay, and then I'm going to curve out the rest of the mouth like so. Now, this looks really funny right now. The first thing I need to do is I need to break this path. I need it to the pen tool to stop working, essentially. So we're going to hit the P key for path, and you're going to see that disappears. I'm going to come and grab my direct selection anchor tool. I'm going to smooth this out right here. I am going to get rid of this fill, so I'm going to come up to the properties panel and X out the fill. And then we're going to give the stroke a nice profile. So under profiles, you click on the word stroke, you click on the word stroke here. We're going to use this one that gets, it's thin and thick and thin and thick again. So let's do that. And then we've got a nice curve for the mouth. And I think the tongue probably needs to have a little bit smaller stroke, actually. So I'm going to go in and make this a little bit smaller. And I need to, well, if I zoom in here, you can see this part of the tongue that has the stroke is well hidden. It's hidden underneath this mouth line that we've created. So perfect. Let's see what this turtle looks like then. Let's go back to layers, and I have my trace layer right here. I'm just going to drag it to the bottom, but I'm also going to just shut the visibility off because I don't want to see it right now. And one thing that I might want to do is just give my turtle a little bit of a stroke. So I'm clicked on the turtle body here, and I'm actually seeing this is really it's just bothering me. So with my direct selection tool, I'm going to come in and edit this anchor point a little bit. His head shouldn't be so pointed right there. All right, let's see. That looks okay. All right, so, and then we'll go to properties and just give a black stroke to the turtle. Maybe a couple points higher. And then to the shell contour as well. There we go. There's our turtle friend. Let's smooth that out a little further. Yeah, so at this point, well, hopefully you can see that this is sort of like layers, little layers of paper, right? It's you think of it as construction cutouts. Like, what would you make the bottom shape of the turtle body? And the parts that you don't see, well, what do you do with that? You know, it doesn't really matter, but you want to make those closed paths. And this is how you can use your shape tool, your pen tool, and using closed and open shapes to create a very basic illustration. So what I'm going to have you do is go ahead and click save at this point, save your progress, and then I'll see you in the next video. We're going to go over gradients a little bit more, and then we will be done with the introduction to the pen tool in Illustrator. All right, see you in the next video. Bye.